Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Mark Keller, and we are glad you're with us today. Time is just flying by. We're already at the end of January of 2020, so you can bet that this half hour is going to fly past as well. So hang on. We have three Herald Mail insiders with us today to talk about the week that was in Washington County sports. Kevin Dunleavy starts us off with a look at boys basketball. We've had a couple of teams and long losing streaks against opponents, and there were a couple other upsets that could end up shifting the playoff picture for some Washington County teams. Kevin will help us sort that out. Then Bob Parcelletti joins me to discuss girls basketball. We'll talk about the big game we had Tuesday between Smithsburg and Williamsport, how the Leopards may have gotten their groove back, and how the loss may have been even more costly for the Wildcats. Finally, Dan Kaufman is back for some indoor track discussion. A couple of Washington County teams performed especially well at the Central Maryland Conference Championships last weekend. We'll talk about that and look ahead to this week's region meets. I have a lot to talk about. Kevin starts us off when Inside Sports returns right after this.
Cynthia Muller-Sullivan of Sullivan Select Real Estate has been recognized by Homelight in 3 categories: Top Overall Producer, Top Seller's Agent, and Top Agent that sells for more. Unlike other real estate venues, agents cannot pay to be recognized by Homelight. If you are considering the sale of your home, call Cynthia for a free market analysis, 301-988-5115. When it comes to real estate, select the best with Sullivan Select.
If you have children entering kindergarten in the near future, help them get off to a great start. Pre-K is one of the most effective ways to prepare children to enter kindergarten ready to succeed. At home, parents can help support their child's development through reading, counting, exploring, and playing. Like you, we know a child's early years lay the foundation for all that is to come. Kindergarten readiness matters. Find out more at ontrackwc.org. Learn today, succeed tomorrow. Brought to you by OnTrack Washington County and Antietam Broadband.
Thank you for seeing us so quickly. He's just unbearable when he's sick.
I'm glad that you came right into Meritus Urgent Care.
We have just what you need to feel better faster, young bear.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Meritus Urgent Care is located off Moggins Avenue on Creighton Boulevard. For more information, visit meritushealth.com/urgent care.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. Herald Mail insider Kevin Dunleavy joins me now to talk boys basketball. And Kevin, we've talked about South Hagerstown a good bit this year and the struggles they've had to get over the hump with North Hagerstown, and they finally did the trick on Tuesday night, got past the Hubs for the first time in quite some time.
Yeah, they had a game that could have gone either way in the fourth quarter. You figure a game like that, the team with the veteran guards, which North has, Lally Richards and Alex Afori, would have an advantage in that situation. But South was the much better team in the fourth quarter and got in a lot of scramble situations, and they're so good when they get in the open floor. And it was Chad Brashear's first win over North in 8 tries, so he was really relieved and really happy that the team is turning around after kind of an up and down start.
72-63 win for the Rebels over the Hubs, and we talked about the Rebels this year. We've talked about their 2 young players, and you're saying here before they went on that they're really starting to kind of gel and come into their own.
Yeah, this was the best I'd seen them play together. Both guys need the ball, so it's a tough mix. In fact, they never start the game together, but in the fourth quarter, you got to have them on the floor because they're the 2 best players on their team. And it looks like Johnson is the guy who really creates. Jahan Johnson does a lot of, he's tough on defense, so he creates a lot of fast break opportunities with steals and disruptive, with deflections and stuff like that. And Roldan Calderon-Cepeda, a junior who was JV player last year, who had 27 points last night, has really gotten good in the half-court sets. So it's really coming for them now.
Had to think that the Rebels a little leery, with the lead at that point. The last 2 games against North, 17 and 19 point leads they had that kind of evaporated, but they were able to put it away Tuesday night, and all of a sudden, South's back to 500. They're at 6-6.
Yeah, they they're not going to win the division, the CMC Spires, but they could be a real threat at playoff time. Even though everybody in there in their region now is 500 or better. So it's going to be a really tough region. Ligonor will be the top seed. So be interesting to see when they play Ligonor again in the regular season what happens there.
Yeah, that Spires division, really interesting. Ligonor has kind of set themselves apart from everybody else, but it's a real logjam underneath there, and South has kind of elevated themselves up into that fight.
Yeah, all the teams in that league have played really competitive games with each other. It's been interesting. Ligonor's undefeated in the league, but even they have had some games where they've really had to sweat it out.
Let's go from public to private, and we'll talk about St. Maria Goretti, and they've really been struggling this year. They've lost 10 straight at one point, but they've kind of turned the corner a little bit, got a couple wins under their belts.
Yeah, funny. Interestingly enough, their last loss of that 10-loss streak might have been the one that was the turnaround. They led St. Francis, national powerhouse, Baltimore. They led them late in the game, or not late in the game, but midway through the game, they led them. And that was a team they had lost to 102-35 earlier in the year. So it was, that was probably the first loss to St. Francis might have been the thing that really sent them into their tailspin, because, you're trying to look at winning your league, and it was obvious that they weren't, with St. Francis being so much better than them. But, they've really got it together. They've beaten two teams that they lost to earlier in the year in the BCL. And Jordan Green, a transfer from D.C., has really sort of emerged as he's a big broad-shouldered kid, sophomore. He's had a lot of rebounds and blocks and his scoring inside, and seems to be the difference for him.
And Briggs McLean still having a few big games as well. A guy that you kind of expected to hear from for the Gales, had some last 3 games pretty big wins, pretty scoring games.
Yeah, and he's done it so efficiently. One game he had 25 points on only 12 shots from the floor, and another game 25 points and 16 shots from the floor. So that's, you can't do much better than that. And he's a real all-around player. He passes the ball well, and just real savvy and polished.
Go back to public schools, and we'll talk about Williamsport now. And they had been on a bit of a roll, but hit a bump last Friday against Catoctin. Lost a game there to Catoctin. Catoctin on fire from three-point range.
Yeah, they hit 13 threes. One guy had Dylan Click had 30 points, and it kind of ruined Caleb Bauer's party, because he scored his 1,000th point of his career in the game and had 22 points. He had a good game, but Catoctin, we probably shouldn't call them upsets anymore. They've won 5 of their last 6, and then they beat Middletown last night, Tuesday night. So they're actually a threat to win that division, which nobody thought, because they've been a patsy. They haven't had a winning record since 1995.
Wow. The Wildcats, just their second loss, that loss to Catoctin. They get to turn right back around and face Middletown, who's gave them their first loss of the season.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting game. Middletown's gotten better as the season's progressed. Most of their key players are from their football team, which won the state championship. And a big key for them, they've got Brian Walker, a guy who transferred out for 1 year, and he's back now. He's 6'5", and he was an all-county receiver for them. And he's a guy that can really match up well with Lincoln Ball. So there's a lot of teams that don't have that, can't match up with Lincoln. So Reese Poffenberger, the quarterback of their football team, is sort of their their court general in basketball. So a lot of football kids that know how to win at Middletown depends on.
We talked about the logjam in the Spires division, the Gambrel in the boys on the boys side, pretty much the same thing. So there's not a team that has separated themselves. There's 3 at the top right now, and that includes Williamsport.
Yeah, and Oakdale's tied with Williamsport and Middletown, and Catoctin's just 1 game behind them. So a lot of big games coming up. Williamsport will play Oakdale the following week after playing Middletown on Friday.
And you got Walkersville in the mix there as well, and Williamsport still with a game against them also. We talked about the kind of revenge that South Hagerstown got on Tuesday against North Hagerstown. Clear Spring did the same thing to Hancock, getting a win there that ended a long string there, or Hancock had ended a long string against Clear Spring. Clear Spring turned the tables.
Yeah, it was Hancock's first win over Clear Spring after 26 straight losses. It dated back to about 2005, I believe. But Justice Allen had 27 points for Hancock in that win, but they held them to 18 this time. And then they got two guys named Cole had their career highest. Cole Weaver had 21 for Clear Spring, and Cole Easterday had 18. So that helped them out a lot. Jacob Hall, a sophomore, has really kind of taken the reins in the backcourt, and his play has been a real difference for him.
He was still in that 1A West, and Boonesboro kind of had the reverse done to them. They had revenge taken upon them by Brunswick.
Yeah, they've had some injuries lately. They got two rotation guys out of the lineup, including their top scorer, Peyton Westcott. They were able to overcome it Friday when Ethan Weir scored 33 points against Smithsburg, and he had 23 on Tuesday night against Brunswick, but Brunswick won, and that snapped, I think, their 12-game losing streak. So that was a tough loss to take for Boonesboro. They're still 8-7, which is a lot more wins than they've had. They only had combined 3 wins the last 2 years. So.
And then real quick in the Mason-Dixon Christian Conference, Heritage, 3-way tie for first place. They're right there in the fight. Yeah,
now the Broad Fording's not in the league. It's really balanced at the top, and it's a good thing for the league to have games that will be tough. And they'll play Shalom on next Tuesday, and the following Tuesday they play CVCS, and those are the 2 teams they're tied with in the top of the league. So the top seed in the tournament will be decided over the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Kevin, thanks a bunch. Stay with us. We'll have Bob Parcelletti up next to talk girls basketball.
Hello, my name is Jim Gross, and I'm very involved in our local sports community, as you may have seen me on the volleyball court, the wrestling mat, or the softball field officiating sports. I'm also the broker and owner of Absolute Real Estate, as I've been making it easy for over 20 years in Washington County for people to buy and sell homes. Call me, Jim Gross, at 301-788-7888 for absolutely the best in savings and service, and ask me about my sports organization donation program.
Access to high-speed internet is critical for school-aged children. Since 2014, Antietam Broadband and Washington County Public Schools have partnered to connect students and families in need with low-cost, high-speed internet service at home. Every child deserves an opportunity to succeed. Ask your child's teacher for more information on the Antietam EduNet program. A message from Washington County Public Schools and Antietam Broadband.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We switch gears from boys basketball to girls now. Herald Mail insider Bob Parcelletti joins me now. And Bob will talk about the game we had on Antietam Broadband here this week, and that was the Smithsburg-Williamsport girls game. Smithsburg winning that 43-35 at Williamsport. And something, a little bit of a trend maybe for Smithsburg here lately. They've gotten off to a slow start, had trouble hitting baskets, only scored 14 points in the first half against Williamsport. And you said that's kind of been the way they've been going here lately.
Well, they seem to, according to Charles Burnett, the coach, he thinks that they got a little tired as far as their legs go because they had a lot of games in a hurry. Tried to give them some time off, but particularly against Catoctin and Middletown, consecutive games about two weeks ago, they just didn't make any baskets. Nothing was falling. He thought maybe that the legs were tired, they weren't getting into it. So took a little time off, tried to figure out what to do. Came back, they played Clear Spring and won, and then they played Boonesboro on Friday, and they had the same problem. And with about 7 minutes to go in the second quarter, Charles called a big timeout, and all of a sudden they come back out, and it changed. And basically they decided to run faster because they figure if they can't make shots, they'll beat them down the floor, so they have more chances maybe. I don't know, but they were getting out and running and crashing the baskets, and it got things going again. And it worked in a lot of different ways because a lot of girls were getting to the basket, getting to the ball, and getting up the floor. But then it also opened up the outside game, and Morgan Domenico hit a couple of big threes that really helped seal that game in the second half, because they were moving the ball and she was getting open because everybody was crashing the boards.
And Domenico had herself a game against Williamsport as well. 2 Smithsburg players, Bailey Grove and Ashley Davis, got into some early foul trouble. 2 fouls in the first half, and Burnett sat them down early in the second quarter, and it fell to Henderson and Domenico to sort of carry things. And to your point, they did sort of pick things up in the second half and got out and ran a little bit more. And Ashley Davis was really the catalyst in that. finding the open players and really moving the ball well.
She's very, both Lexi Henderson and Ashley are very good in the open floor. There was one play against Boonesboro where she kind of went to the right and then all of a sudden just stuck her foot in the ground and went straight down the middle for a layup. I think I had a video of it online because, I mean, it was just, one step and gone, So she's very good in the open floor with that kind of stuff.
It was a big game for both of those teams. I mean, they were kind of in the CMC division. They're both kind of battling for that second tier in there behind Middletown and Oakdale, but also in Washington County, Smithsburg now 6-0 in county play, and Williamsport falling down to 5-2 after that. Is a kind of a tough loss for Williamsport as well, in that they lost Bryson Ostrom in the game, who's really kind of picked things up for them here in this segment of the season. Lost her to a lower leg injury. She didn't return to the game.
Well, and she's been kind of like the missing piece, I think, in that team, because she takes the outside shot on the opposite side from Julia Bowman. So teams have to spread out to go for both of them, which opens up the middle for them and inside to score easily. The other thing that she's very good at is she's almost too generous. She gets the ball and she's always looking to make a pass, and she's got to learn to shoot, I think, at times, but she was always good at getting the ball and moving it around and trying to get a closer shot for somebody. And so they're going to miss her on both those sides.
As Kevin Murphy talked after the game about the fight that his team had, and they really did fight. They couldn't take advantage of that slow start that Smithsburg had. They led in the first quarter 6-4, but then Smithsburg took the lead. They had a shot early in the second half. They were down by just 2, 31-29. Chloe Bittner had a couple chances inside to tie the game, couldn't get the ball to fall, and then it turned around. Smithsburg flipped it on them, a 9-0 run, and really kind of put things away. And maybe a little bit of the youth of the Wildcats showed up in that. Yeah,
well, they are a very young team, but they're leaps and bounds better than they were at this point last year.
Ellie Levasseur kind of came in and picked up the slack a little bit for Ostrom when she went out, a freshman. She scored 6 points, and see maybe an increased role for her as well. Let's look at Clear Spring, talk about a young team, and that's a team that has been kind of fighting that same battle as well, but one of those young players really kind of come to the rescue for them here lately, and that's Sarah Greenlee.
She really had a great game against Hancock the other day. It started out, again, nobody can make a basket. It was a 2-0 game, and she scores like Clear Spring's first 6, and she gives them house money to play with. And they kind of took off, and Hancock kind of took her out of it, and then she came back at the end, and she scored another point to, get them up again. And she was always there when they needed them. She lurks around on the baseline and on the boxes, but she'll pop out and take a shot every now and then. And toward the end of the game, when they were trying to seal it, they stuck her on the box, and all they were doing was that old basic drill that anybody that was in basketball used to be, the entry pass to the guy on the block and let him turn around and try to shoot a layup. And that was like, she scored 6 points off of that. So, I mean, she ended up with like 22 points and 15 rebounds in this game, and it was basically just by hard work, and she's only a sophomore.
Yeah, Corey Alkire, the coach of Clear Spring, talking about good practices, and that's one of those key things that you hear coaches talk about when they have good practices. They like to see that translate into good games as well.
Well, it was one of the things that they both talked about after the game, that they had such a good practice and the momentum. They were all excited, and it's almost like they walked into a dark room and turned on a light, because all of a sudden everybody was all excited and ready to go.
You talk about Hancock as well, and the record not really showing how they're doing this year. They're 3-12, but their last 3 losses all by 3 points each. They're playing some decent basketball.
Yeah, I think their problem is that they have only 7 girls on the team usually. In the game against Clear Spring, they only had 6. One of the girls are out on concussion protocol, and she's supposed to be getting cleared after the game that was on Monday. So, I mean, that adds another possible, 32 minutes that could be played, even though she won't play the whole thing. But I mean, another option to them. But they really battle. They have really like 3 or 4 girls that can score, but like a lot of teams, it seems like they've been struggling to get it through the hoop. And in this particular game, they were really hanging with Clear Spring. They were down only 4 at the half, and Coach Todd Rupenthal said, hey, we came out and we said we were going to try to hold them 18 in the second half. They held them to 15, but only scored 12.
Chloe Stotler still doing her thing as far as scoring for Hancock. She topped the 1,000 point mark here recently and had a big game on Monday as well. Yeah. North Hagerstown, another team that's improving, not necessarily showing up in wins. Used to be kind of a one-person team in Madison Mertz, not so much anymore though, right?
This year has been kind of interesting because they're really making concerted effort to make it a team game. And that's great. I mean, it's really working for them. They're moving the ball. I think in a sense, it kind of opens up Mertz a little bit more because not everybody's chasing her and trying to get in front of her so much. I mean, I guess South on Tuesday played a little box and one on her, but I mean, she's not shooting the threes that she did in the past 2 years. She's doing more of trying to slash to the basket, and she's trying to pass to other girls to try to do stuff. The problem is that it seems like although the other girls are getting the idea down and what to do and how to act with during the game, the problem is they have a hard time scoring, and I think part of that is they don't have confidence as shooters. And so no matter how much Mertz works at it, she still ends up having to score about half the points on the team in order for them to do anything.
All right, we'll see how that shakes out for the Hubs as we enter the final month of the regular season. Thanks a lot, Bob. We'll have Dan Kaufman with us next. Talk inside indoor track right after this.
Cynthia Moeller-Sullivan of Sullivan Select Real Estate has been recognized by HomeLight in 3 categories: Top Overall Producer, Top Seller's Agent, and Top Agent that sells for more. Unlike other real estate venues, agents cannot pay to be recognized by HomeLight. If you are considering the sale of your home, call Cynthia for a free market analysis, 301-988-5115. When it comes to real estate, select the best with Sullivan Select.
Introducing Antietam Smart Wi-Fi, the ultimate home networking solution. Smart Wi-Fi expands your wireless network and can eliminate Wi-Fi dead zones. Adding Smart Wi-Fi access points creates a Wi-Fi blanket for all of your devices, so you get consistent wireless internet speeds anywhere in your house. So go ahead and browse, game, and stream video in any room. Make the most of your internet with Smart Wi-Fi from Antietam Broadband. Smart homes deserve Smart Wi-Fi.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. Herald Mail insider Dan Kaufman joins me now to talk indoor track, the last of the so-called preliminary events in the books here for indoor track season. The Central Maryland Championships were held last weekend, and a couple of teams from Washington County fared quite well, starting with South Hagerstown boys.
Right. I think they were probably a little bit disappointed with their county meet showing. They went in a little bit as a favorite after a really strong Dickinson Invitational performance and didn't quite do their best at the county meet, but they rebounded and finished a strong second as a team in the CMCs, led by Charlie Austin in the high jump. His best high jump performance this season had been 6 feet 1 inch, but he clears 6'6" to win that event, and a big victory on the way to the Rebels runner-up showing.
Big meet for Austin for sure. The sprinting teams for South Hagerstown have been great all season, and Absolutely. Their relay team did well here again.
Right, their 4x200, Cole Schlotterbeck, Ron Blocker, Prodigy Nobles, and Khalil Booker. Obviously, Booker's had an amazing year with setting the county record in the 55 earlier this season. He was the anchor leg in a 4x200 relay victory. Booker also finished second in the 300, and their 4x400 relay team finished second as well. So, you know, that's where South's strength starts. Is anything 400 meters or shorter. They've got some horses, and they showed that again at the CMCs.
Let's go on down on the boys' side and look at how some of the other teams fared. North Hagerstown in 10th place, 23.5 points there. Did well in the relay as well.
Yeah, came darn close to knocking off South, and that 4x200 settled for second, just a fraction of a second slower. Ime Arekasima, and I apologize if I butchered that pronunciation, he finished third in the 300 with a strong run, and Andrew Hilker taking third place in the high jump. Coming off of an incredible county meet for them. I think they'll be pretty satisfied with the performances they got here at the CMCs.
Williamsport in 11th in the boys' standings, 22 points, 1 win win from R.J. Green.
Yeah, he's really come on strong, both at the county meet and here at the CMCs. Won the 500 in 109.41. That's the best time in the county this season. He's kind of distanced himself from a couple other kids in that event and is looking really strong heading into the championship meets.
And then rounding things out for the county in the boys' side, Boonesboro finishing 14th, Smithsburg in 15th. Now on the girls' side, Boonesboro, no big surprise there, the top team from Washington County, they finished 7th.
Right, and they actually, we should mention South Hagerstown's boys and Boonesboro's girls, when they separated out into the Gambrel division specifically, they both won team titles here as well. So Boonesboro got a strong effort from Sophie Reinhardt, placing 3rd in the pole vault. And their 4x200 relay team also took 3rd in 153.96. Those were Boonesboro's top performances of the meet in the CMC.
Okay, and going on down the list there, North Hagerstown in 10th place. They got a victory in the shot put there.
Yeah, Cozy Naquanta, and I'm sure she's really happy because she went over 36 feet again. She's showing a little more consistency. She said at the county meets that she was just hoping to kind of get back to her marks from last outdoor season, which were in the 36, 37-foot range. So she'll be happy that she's now got 2 consecutive efforts in the 36-foot range, and she's going to be feeling pretty good heading into, again, region and state meets later on.
Williamsport in 12th place, 15 points. Hannah Mace performed well in the pole vault.
Yeah,
there.
Finished 2nd place and set her personal best or season best, clearing 9 feet 10 inches. And you start getting toward that 10-foot mark, and you definitely have a state gold within your grasp. So she's right there, and I'm certainly hoping for big things as we get into February.
And then rounding things out, Smithsburg in 13th place, 11 points. South Hagerstown in 14th place with 4 points. So as we said, kind of the preliminary meets, all the appetizers out of the way now. Now we get into the real meat of the schedule, the region meets followed by the state meets.
Yeah, well, Class 1A and 2A hit the Hagerstown Community College track on Saturday. And those region meets, I mean, there's some pride as far as team results go, but for the most part, it's just qualifying as many kids as you can. Top 4 in each event get in, and you can also qualify on time or distance depending on your event. So for a lot of teams like Boonesboro, Smithsburg specifically, Williamsport in 2A, they're going to be looking for just qualify, hopefully 2, maybe even 3 kids in some events, and set themselves up well for the state meet.
Okay, thanks a bunch, Dan. Have Dan back to get us ready for the state meet here in a couple weeks. Stay with us. We'll wrap things up right after this.
Introducing Antietam Smart Wi-Fi, the ultimate home networking solution. Smart Wi-Fi expands your wireless network and can eliminate Wi-Fi dead zones. Adding Smart Wi-Fi access points creates a Wi-Fi blanket for all of your devices, so you get consistent wireless internet speeds anywhere in your house. So go ahead and browse, game, and stream video in any room. Make the most of your internet with Smart Wi-Fi from Antietam Broadband. Smart homes deserve Smart Wi-Fi.
Hello, my name is Jim Gross, and I'm very involved in our local sports community, as you may have seen me on the volleyball court, the wrestling mat, or the softball field officiating sports. I'm also the broker and owner of Absolute Real Estate, as I've been making it easy for over 20 years in Washington County for people to buy and sell homes. Call me, Jim Gross, at 301-788-7888 for absolutely the best in savings and service, and ask me about my sports organization donation program.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We talked earlier about the Smithsburg-Williamsport girls basketball game that we broadcast on Tuesday night here on Antietam Broadband. If you missed it, don't fret. You still have 2 more chances to catch that game, Saturday and Sunday right here on Channel 6 and 806, both days at 10 a.m. We have 1 more basketball broadcast for you this season on Tuesday, February 18th. It's boys basketball again as North Hagerstown goes on the road to face the Boonesboro Warriors. Barry Brown will join me once again for the call. Finally, this Monday, February 3rd, we'll bring you high school ice hockey from the Hagerstown Ice and Sports Complex. The Washington County North Stars will play their final game of the regular season against Middletown Valley. The North Stars are 10-2 on the season, and Monday's game gives them 1 more tune-up for the playoffs. You can watch all the games online at myactv.net. Click on the Live Events tab or by downloading the WCL TV On The Go app for your mobile phone or tablet. That app is available for iOS or Android operating systems. And don't forget to look us up on social media. On Twitter, we are at Inside Sports OL. On Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat, it's at Inside Sports Now. That's all for Inside Sports this week. My thanks to Kevin Dunleavy, Bob Parcelletti, and Dan Kaufman for being here today. And thank you, as always, for joining us. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you back here next week on The Inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets